The opposition to what we're talking about, common sense, healing, peace, truth, these we're up against knuckleheads and numbskulls and nincompoops that have been to school and that's all they rely on.
Yep.
They don't sit on bended knee and bended waist and sacrifice time to get to introduce themselves to the flame of a fire, a well-kept fire, or to a pail of water, or to sit on the earth and feel her, and so that's why, you fear what you don't understand. Hence, the only 3.5% left of us native peoples, right? Shoot on sight. They're a weed, pull them, get rid of them, and that dog too, And so it's like you have to speak truth to it, And so what I have to say is, hope they'll try to mishmash it and like, well, you said this. I said, no matter how you try to change my words around, it'll always come out where you feel better. You'll feel more inspired, right? You'll want to know the truth. How do you learn that? Where does that circle at? I always tell you, it's never in a row or a column or a classroom or a courtroom or in the churches. And so that you're saying, what are you? And so I speak for the elements. I want fresh air, fresh, clean, diverse water. And earth, and our spirit, the sky. I want to give voice to those that can't speak. Thank goodness they have been cursed and gone to school and learned the English language, our plant kingdom, I guess they call that, our plant world, realm, and the medicinal values that it has, that we've been like, hey, don't pay attention to none of that, the war of 18 so-and-so, or the war of 19 so-and-so, and the war of the 21st, pay attention to that, Go to baseball games and football games, that's where you'll be able to cheer on the jets ripping the sky as they go on their way to drop more bombs and things like that. Those are the things we want to be distracted with, and what logos we wear and all things like that, and so it's I'm out to change the way people feel, not the way they think, dear. You know what I'm saying? Is we're too far down the line.
Out to change the way people feel and not the way people think.
Yeah, because it's the thinking has got us to where we are today.
Right.
That's why everything's fine.
Right.
How's your band? How's family? Everything's fine. How's the world? Fine. Because all we know is all we know, and with that kind of intellect, we'll always find ourselves in line somehow, some way, for bottled water, toilet paper. Einstein and those fellas like that, they never sat on bended knee and waist and probably sat there and ate medicine. Medicine meaning those things that you mentioned prior. You know what I'm saying? That's all that they know, It's all that they know. It's what they've been told, right?
Right.
And so it's through experience, right, that you get that knowledge, which, eventually comes to be a wisdom, and able to speak from this northern direction like we are, and share. Sharing is caring, and caring is love. Love is water, right? So it's all about our water, right? So I'm the water guy. I'm Aquaman, I'm a road man as well. And I'm in preparation for a couple ceremonies. I have a mushroom ceremony. I've been feeling well the last couple of days, so I'm in preparation for a mushroom ceremony, and then I have a peyote ceremony, Native American church, they call that, when we gather in that circle. Got to have that church in there, I think, so we can circle up, and eat our peyote, and pray sincerely and truthfully, right?
So going back to how you had those conversations with Native folks who, so for some folks, they don't understand that the Native American church allows for peyote to happen in a way that locally folks may be okay with who are Native, but the mushrooms and the ayahuasca or the ibogaine, like kind of going into that realm, you've traveled an untraditional path in that way, and bringing those medicines to people.
Yeah.
It sounds like a diverse group of people, not just Native people. What has been your experience there in having those conversations? Or
yeah, right. I'm glad we circled back to that, and that was I think that was the big question there. And so let's see. Yeah, even peyote, even peyote is kind of like that with some peoples, because that like I said, that's like when they divvied us up, right? The denomination, Presbyterians need X amount of Indians. All right, I'm Catholic, these guys over here are Methodists, and so they divvied us up like that, And so you kind of see on other reservations, maybe where the Pentecostal church is there, the Shaker church is there, and the Shaker church is from Canada down to California, and that's from a religion that is here, and that was born from this area just down the road in the Squaxin Island territory, you know. So, and then now with the canoe journey, so you have that's the way that people pray too, you know, our canoe families, you know, and our canoe circles. And so when you go to the sweat lodge circles, and you're like, hey, you know, went to this ceremony, you know, you should check it out. And you're like, well, what's that? You know, you kind of explain it, and everything's fine. So like, and then we eat the medicine and drink some medicine and meditate with it, you know, and let it work on us, you know. And as we pray for a healing, you know, and we sing our songs and things like that. Everything's fine then, and they always like, what's this medicine? You know, what are you talking about? And then you bring up the peyote, and yeah, that's not my way. That's not our way, you know. So people, that's like in Indian country, that's an easy way out for people. Like, well, that's not our way. Either like incite something, or that's not our way to get away from something, or that's just not our way, you know, to hide from something or get away from something, you know. And it seems like they might know someone, you know, my uncle did that or something like that. And so it's kind of hard to introduce a little bit, you know. It seems like action speaks louder than words, you know. Like they used to know how I was before.
So use yourself as an example.
Yeah, right.
Teach through your own healing.
Yeah, right. Action speaks louder than words.
Have people come to you from the Native community that you would have thought would be rigid or closed-minded, and then they say, hey man, what's up with you? Because you seem happier, or you seem healthier, or you seem...
Oh yeah, right. How you doing that? What changed? How your behavior, your conduct, your manners, the way you speak, the way you hold yourself, the way you're ascending, your trajectory, you know, the way you hold yourself, you know, the way you conduct yourself, the way, you know, all those things have changed for me. Because I was like, I get this teaching inside the circle, I'm like, and then once that flap went up, I noticed that we kind of like pick up to where we left off, like the way we came in, and then we're starting to pick up the profanity and think about things and plan things that were like, hey, wait a minute, that's not very sacred or holy. You know, we weren't talking like that like 5 minutes ago, you know. So I noticed, hey, if it made, you know, whatever, I started speaking like I speak in the circle. You know, I was in a bank line one time, you know, and just telling somebody, hey, you know, you really look nice, you look good. And they started smiling. I said, wow, you know, that's a beautiful smile to boot. Well, you got the whole package going there. That's real nice. You know, may you be blessed today, walk in a good way today, you know. May safety and protection come your way, to your family and blessing, you know, your food, but most importantly, your water, like that. And you're like, well, thanks, have a nice day. I'm doing it, you're in it, you know. So it changes, make people feel in love, in joy, involved, included, right? People want to hear yes, not no, you know. And so is there healing out there? Yes, but people, it comes from here. The change has to come from here. I was sitting in this living room not so long ago, and a family came to me. The mother was like distraught, and she came to me, and her husband's support was like, yeah, what, you know, anything, you know, he was just listening and supporting her. And she was like, we hear you're a roadman, can you help us? And I was like, you know, and I was hearing his situation and his condition.
Sorry, was it addiction?
Yeah, chasing the dragon, heroin, you know, or meth, or a combination of both, you know. It's some of that bad stuff like that. And I said, yeah, we have something, you know, but there's another, you know, there's another circle that he would fit in, you know, but the only reason it didn't work for him is because he didn't want to change, right? He wanted to do nothing and have it, you know,
fix him.
I don't want to do nothing, but to have it do it, you know. And I said, no, you have to, you have to have the desire,
participate.
You have to, contribute, participate in your own healing and recovery like that. And so that's the only, and she stopped at that point too. She's like, once I mentioned maybe, you know, maybe let's try maybe ayahuasca, might be a starter. Instead of peyote. Peyote is more, hey, we're coming together for a church service. Everything is, yeah, you're involved, you're included, and you're participating in that ceremony more as the ayahuasca. It's like You know, you're going to the doctor, you're going to the healer, right? And you've surrendered at that point,
Right.
and you need the anaconda. You
Right.
know, you need those animals to help come, those spirits to come and clean,
Right.
right?
I
Feel
feel
the
like
love again.
sometimes people sense what is going to happen, how they will be transformed, and if I identify as a victim, and I have identified as a victim for part of my life, so I think if you're going to take that from me, or if this medicine is going to take that from me, do you know what I mean? I sense that. I'm not sure I really want that.
Yeah, well, you know, every ceremony is different. You know, there's no two alike. You know, it's like water, like snowflakes and like that. And so, yeah, you can go with any kind of intention you like, you know, but the medicine, because that's what we're thinking, and that's why everything is fine. And that's why we came to this circle, right? So the authority of the jungle, the authority of the mountains or the plains or the beaches or the prairies where the medicine comes from, her, she, the divinity, talks to the divinity within. You know, we think we know it all like this. We think when we say, hey, water's life, it's just about us. Hey, we need the water for our life. We have no consideration for the plant world or kingdom or realm or that swims or resides around lakes or the oceans or the streams. You know, we always think it's about us. And so that medicine is a humble trail that gets you to the journey and connects you to like, oh yeah, huh? I only have one of these, one heart, you know, one life to life, not live. I don't want to make a living. You know, you shouldn't stress or like the grass is a strain to grow. So we should be lifing. We came to this earth to be gifters, not takers. And I hear a lot of people, I'm a caretaker of my mom. You know, so she dies, I get the house, get the car, get the bank account, take. You know, I'm not a caregiver. I'm a caregifter. You know, a gifter. And so it's we have a talent, you know, we have something that we came to earth to gift another, right? And that lightens the load. There was no money here prior to the system and him showing up and saying you have to make a living. Here's some paper, you know, here's a treaty, you know, here's a
Right.
constitution and stuff
And
like that.
again, the him is the colonizer.
Oh yeah,
Colonizers.
yeah, where isn't he? You know, he's in the courts and he's in the legislative building. He's in our banks and stuff like that. And he is in fear. He fears what the most? Women, her, she, divinity, how it is, earth. You know, moms, aunties, grandmothers, their daughters, their wives. You know, their nieces.
The female. There's a persecution there. Do you? I struggle with seeing so much greed in the psychedelic community as people are gearing up and they're saying, well, I'm gonna take a pharmaceutical aspect of this plant medicine, this fungi with psilocybin or ayahuasca or ibogaine or whatever, or I'm gonna make it unavailable except for the people who have wealth that can travel to Mexico or Canada to do like an ibogaine treatment. And I struggle personally because I look at the income inequity. I see people who have privilege who can travel to go to Peru to work with a shaman and they don't have access here. I work, in my work with public defense, I worked with people who got civilly committed under Ricky's law. So they're chemically dependent and the state now says, hey, we're gonna clean up the sidewalks and clean up these street addicts and we're gonna shuttle them off and do forced pharmaceutical treatment, and then we're going to release them. They're going to use it the same rate that they were using when they went in, possibly die. You know, it's hard not to see a conspiracy afoot to rid us of the blemish of our own wound. You know, because this is, if we're all connected, this is our wound, right? Is our broken, is our hurting.
Take this drug so you can get a job. Hurry up.
Well, but you see so much of the money piece. You see people that are clamoring to create psilocybin centers, right, and make money. Like there's opportunism coming in here. It's almost like a fight to see who can get the most out of the psychedelic movement. What is your take on that? Where do you stand with that?
There's predators everywhere, huh? Kind of all they know is all they know, and so like that kind of goes back to like don't say it, you know, what do I introduce you as, like that. So don't say no medicine man. So those people that are kind of claiming that and calling that, they've already stepped over the, probably morally or somehow some way they're okay with it, and just like, you know what I'm saying, and like you said, they're profiting from it, then they're part of the problem, and somebody will get hurt.
Yeah,
because you don't play around. We are spirits here just having this kind of experience, thanks for the, whatever, I appreciate
The meat package.
Yeah, right, the meat suit, and, keep working, but, keep hanging in there, guy, but if you realize that this is all a spiritual thing, everything is a life, electromagnetic, everything like that, and it's just energy, right? And that's what they're harvesting. He is harvesting us, right? And so when we can come to the whereabouts that, hey, we are the value here, our gift that we have to just give to the whole, that's what this is about, Water's Life, creating this global human necklace. And how they do it, I'm inviting them to a 4-day global ceremony, that's what I've been in preparation for, learning more, paying attention, who's my next mentor, who's going to lead me to the next ceremony, how do I keep ascending and finding truth and letting go and all that I have been taught in a school and by others, right? To protect this, because right now, like you said, everything is scarce, and our medicines are scarce now, and due to commercialism and the demand on that for people that just want to try it once or they heard about it, it takes puts a great pressure on our sores, right? But these people that, we are talking about having those centers and things, and it's our clinics, that's all there are. And I bring that up to our councils, that there should be, hello, and
including
look at I was like,
you got healers right here.
Right.
And
why are we
incorporating
I know
this?
somebody, and if you don't know, we know somebody.
Right.
And
You got the medicine right
we
here.
can provide it.
Right.
We know where
Right. And what's the feedback when you share that?
Oh yeah, they'll look away. Yeah, well, show the papers. That's good. Well, we got the so-and-so over there at the clinic, and he's the director. Everybody's got an expert. We're bringing in somebody, and I'm like, if I want a healing, like I'll go to the person who doesn't speak English, the Chinese guy who is doing acupuncture on me, because he'll pray, put his hand on me and pray before he injects or moves or messes with my energy,
right?
Messes with my life,
Right. So it's interesting to me when you look at cannabis. A lot of local tribes here said, we don't have anything to do with cannabis. Then you got the white man, just to simplify things, bringing that cannabis train going with the money that comes with that, and then you have the tribes getting on, in the 11th hour, right? And why couldn't they do it differently with psychedelics? A lot of these native people see this, and I feel like they could get ahead of this.
Because all they know is all they know is all they know is
all they know is all they know. It's interesting because when you were talking a moment ago, I felt like what I was saying was, Robert, how do you deal energetically, emotionally, spiritually with the fact that this medicine is something that you are connected to? You're connected to that medicine world. You're seeing its impact on people you love. You're seeing its ability to surgically intervene and heal people in ways that Western meds can't, right? In ways that work, that are transformative, they're magical and holy. And yet you're seeing this world of consumerism come and try to grapple and power hungry their piece of the pie and push each other down in the competition. And it's almost like, for me, observing your reaction to that, I almost feel like you're saying, I'm not going to get affected by all of this, because there have been scavengers since the dawn of time. There will continue to be scavengers, but that's not where I'm going to put my energy and my focus, because my job is to take my teachings and what I've been taught by my teachers and do my work.
Yeah, because they don't. That's all they know is all they know, and they're picking on vulnerable people. That's the lot. Everybody comes to this circle is vulnerable, very vulnerable, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, socially. And so when they're coming, they're looking for a healing, and if anybody's got a little bit of this, that, or the other thing, like when I was in Spain doing a ceremony one time, I was in Castilla y León, up in these mountains and stuff like that, and that fire was really giving me kind of a tough time. The wood wasn't dry, and I was having to use my fans and use this and that and some other kind of things and tricks and a little of this, a little of that to keep that fire going, and bring the male and feminine energy together like that, and then my prayers. And so the next morning, as we broke away, that one, a gal came up to me and just drinking. She was like, "Oh, You know, it was like tus maestro, the way that, you know, like you're my teacher, you're my, you know, like the way you did it, oh my God, like that. And I was like, whoa, I just kept it lit and kept us warm. It's all we did there, you know. There's a way I do that and stuck with it. Thank you very much. Anyway, you know, whatever, you know, you don't keep it real, you know.
So when people are ready to worship you, you're saying that your experience is like, heck no, I don't need it.
Yeah,
I don't need it. That doesn't
I'm
benefit.
glad you kept warm. I'm glad
Yeah.
it kept you safe, you know. Stay near this fire. It was built with love.
Right.
It was built with hope, you know.
I do see windows of opportunity to talk about ethics and responsibility and morality, but in a way that doesn't have the Calvinistic overtones that, for me, you see within 12-step and you see within these religious communities that have been, Christianity has been forced on them. You know, in terms of, sometimes when we talk about morality and ethics and things like this, I feel like there are these Calvinistic overtones of shame. You know, I see a lot of shame within the 12-step community. I was telling Kelland on the drive down that, you know, we exemplify work, you know, work addiction. So I just came from the legal field, and you see a lot of attorneys that, you know, they're working themselves to death. You know, they're oftentimes like suicidal in the private of their homes. They're cheating on their spouses. They're alcoholics, whatever. But because they're such workaholics, we're like, oh my God, you know, we just hold them up. Yeah. And yet the addict who's addicted to a substance, we're like, this is shameful, and this is where we keep secrets within our families, right? We don't talk about our brother that has a fentanyl addiction, you know, because that's something that's, you know, like, let's just keep it on the down low. And so those secrets come to control us, but yet we're holding up the workaholic, because to work all the time, to take time away from your family, your spouse, your children, that's somehow this man that should be worshipped, right? But the man who has hurt himself because maybe he was sexually molested as a child, you know, you see a large correlation between sexual molestation as children and addiction.
It's almost like, who hasn't, you know? Who hasn't?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're having a child. Yeah, so like, yeah, who hasn't? So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut that.
So I guess my point is, there's so much shame and kind of like moralistic posturing sometimes that can happen within that 12-step community or within that whatever, you know, that I think sometimes when we bring ethics into the conversation, how do we do that in new ways, right, that are healing and loving to everyone, right?
Yeah, so that's where the Billy Prank part, educate. When I was beginning to restore the native name to that landscape that everybody swears at and calls Mount R or Mount whatever, but Mount Rainier there. Now I have a swear jar some money. My Sonny boy might have heard me like that. Sorry, Sonny boy. But going down to the legislative building, you know, and the concrete walls or marble walls and the concrete halls, you know, and concrete hearts and heads, it seems like down there. And who are you? What do you want to speak to so and so about? And I was like, oh, I'm here to speak to so and so about restoring the native name to a holy and sacred site. You know? And they're like, huh? You know, what are you talking about Mount Rainier? You want to change the name? I said, no, it's been changed. I'm here to restore the native name. You know, I'm tired and sick of it being referred that way, and everybody just constantly swearing at her like that and calling that and damning that landscape. And they're like, what do you mean? And so once you explain it, because everybody wants to be right, nobody wants to be, you know, wrong, right? That's just a human thing. Everybody, you know, wants to be happy. Nobody wants to be, you know, and so you just educate them. And so the people that were holding their briefs and their whatever, and square shoulders, square heads, you know, like what? We began to like put the books down and what? No, shoulders rounded as they were allowing love to come in. You know, they loved hearing about what's around them. You know, they loved hearing the real, I guess they call it history, or the real legends or tales of the landscape and the waterscape and the skyscape that is. You know, once they're included in the, I didn't know. It's always, I didn't know. People that come to the Sweat Lodge, really don't want to come today, really don't want to. Boy, this is the best place I could have, you know, been. I mean, I don't even know why I was thinking that way, you know. It's because you're thinking. And we go to people like court systems. I hope they change. I hope they make a decision, you know, but relying on him again, relying on them again, you know, and all they know is all they know is all they know. And so how do you, All they know is what this TV says, or what they read, or what their parents told them, or or formed their belief system. So when I got politicians or city councils or people making laws and decisions and policy about things that they don't know and have zero experience and no wisdom at all, I have not a obligation. I have the responsibility to speak up, stand up, and bring light to that room, bring responsibility to that room. Because when they all talk like that, they're talking about rights, right? Right. Rights. And so they got this whatever. They got we're talking about rights in here, and I said, throw some responsibility in here. They're gone, Yeah. And so they get to play around in there. People only serve 2 years or 4 years on their way to somewhere. Stepping stone to somewhere. In that meantime, they're affecting my life and the way of it,
Right.
It puts a damper on me when you have to kind of start hiding or sneak in, or we gotta, keep it secret, or you gotta just email it. We're gonna form a circle,
Right.
And I had to hear it on the wind. I was at we put together a small concert in Seattle here years ago, and I was at this table and I'm talking with the person over here talking. I hear, and I was like, what was that? Did you hear that? And it's like, what are we talking about? I go, I heard it. Who said that? Did you say that? And this guy's like, talking to us about, what? What'd you hear? I said, I heard something. I've been what did you say? And he goes, what do you think I said? I said, did you say it or not? He's like, what? I said, ayahuasca. Did you say that? Do you have it? Are you near it? Do you know about that? He's like, he goes, do what you're doing. I'm like, what do you want to know? And I was like, oh, God, I want to be introduced to it, And he goes, are you serious? He goes, you don't already do it? And I was like, no. And he's like, huh. And I go, what's that about? And he goes, because Alec, well, I shouldn't say it, but a brother we know who's a road man. He says he's a healer too. As a matter of fact, he goes down there and runs their ceremonies for them, and he's introduced peyote down that way. So that's the condor and the American eagle, right? Or the eagle soaring together, right? They said that's their prophecy. So that's how I was introduced. And so I was like, well, how long has he been doing that? Because when I went to Spain to do ceremony, I walked into this guy's flat and I saw, the blue deer. Blue deer, I didn't know that. I was just looking at his artwork and stuff, and I looked over here. I said, what is that? And he's like, what do you mean, what is that? I said, this poster looks like the cover of Jimi Hendrix Are You Experienced or something like that. And it's like, he goes, that's ayahuasca. I said, what? He goes, you don't know ayahuasca? It's coming to you. So I've been waiting for it all those years and years, and that's all I need to hear is, and since then it led me to my brother. I said, I didn't know you did that. Why didn't you tell me, man? And so he's like, well, you're in it now, and that circle led to other circles, led to other circles, led to other medicines, other experiences, other healings, and this higher ascension, and when you start becoming that leaf or that blade or that whatever, it's a whole different the way you're looking at what are we doing, and why are we doing it out here? I saw was it that thing on Seattle about the homelessness, and I see the homeless people here, and I was like, those are circles, because all is expected from them, from society, and the people that drive by them looking at them, they're like, they're trash, is those people need to get a job and pull their pants up and get their crap together. And I'm like, that's for what? To go where? And to get a job? That's what got them here. The stresses of this fake world. Can't live the lie. It's too much for the intellect, And so, the guy that's got to go push a button or bang on a hammer, who has this gift that could draw probably a masterpiece or sing us the next hit song is now outcast like that, and then we lose them real quickly that way because the only conversation isn't here, and they're only sharing what they've learned from the chalkboard or overhead projector or the movie screen, TV screen, or whatever's been in front of them. That's the American way, instead of like, hell yeah, it's a circle. There's all around me like this. And so when I see circles like that, it's like in those homeless centers, like, boy, we could change probably half of them overnight like that, If they wanted to change their life,
But they may not know.
You're right, but to have a conversation with people, those would like to, yeah, because this ain't working. And so, that addiction, that like that. I've seen it too many times. Actually, I've seen it every time I walked into a circle. Every time when I walk with a medicine, if there's a cancer in that person, everybody's just like, by morning time, that was good, you keep going now. And that person's like, well, I don't see the doctor till Thursday, but I feel better, and then you always hear, hey, how did Janet do? Oh yeah, she had another kid, she's living life, everything's fine. After that ceremony, I hear that all the time. After that ceremony, my life was, that's all I needed was that ceremony. Now it's like, it's like, and so I can't, it's hard when you hear lies like, I gotta go down to the clinic, I got this going on, and I was like, you don't need that.
You don't know.
You don't need
hard.
that.
It's so hard to hear that, especially like when I worked at Seattle Indian Health Board. You'd see people on Suboxone and methadone, and you can see that there's a really long half-life to Suboxone. Like these things stay in your system, and so they can be more addictive than the substances someone might originally be on. But Big Pharma's right in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To offer you the pharmaceutical teat and to keep you hooked, and a lot of these folks, could be healed in other ways, and yet we have to keep our jobs, right? And so if I'm doing chemical dependency groups at Seattle Indian Health Board, I can't tell folks like, well, there is a legal ayahuasca church, through the Santo Daime. Like that's how I drank ayahuasca. It's interesting you mentioned how it called you, because there was a woman that led the Santo Daime Point, which is like their little churches, and she said, some people don't hear the word. You say the word ayahuasca, and it's like you didn't even say it. Like they don't even hear that word. Other people, you say the word, no matter how quickly you might say it, even if you say it under your breath, and they're like, what was that word? Because it's calling them. It's a spirit. Do you mind talking a little bit about the plant medicines in terms of different spirits kind of attached to them, that you kind of feel like a feminine with peyote, or a masculine, with peyote, and do you know what I mean? Like that they're different kind of entities?
Certainly are, like that peyote is like, it's just like how you find it, it's just
compacted,
very earth, very, like
thick.
It's because it's
condensed, powerful, pungent.
Yeah, it's like very, very, what would you call it? It absorbs everything, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's very like how you find it. It's very, very, yeah, I don't know. It works on you really heavy. There you go. It's kind of
works on you heavy.
Yeah, it's like you can't get away from yourself, from that peyote. It's always, like putting that mirror in front of you, or
look at yourself.
And so for a while there, when you get into the medicine world, or for me, and I've heard some others, like you kind of beat up on yourself a little bit in there, you kind of like, just like, hey, remember this shortcoming? Or remember the what you said there all those years ago, remember, and then it kind of shows you how you're behaving and acting a little, and kind of like, you just work on things.
Chip away at yourself.
Yeah, and so at times like, I don't want to be in here, and you kind of get out the TV for half a second, and like, what am I doing out here? I should be back. And so it's like, you work through that medicine the whole time. It feels like you're always having to, work with it. And sometimes it gets down in here, and you have to get well. We call that getting well. Don't keep it in. It's getting that stuff that hasn't served you.
Out of you.
And then next thing you know, hey, we're going off again. But we have medicines in there that we also use to help the patient, or to help the person that got well. I'm doing this because it's my fan, my invisible fan.
Your invisible fan.
Yeah, my invisible cedar, come up and fan you off. And so we have things that work, and other instruments that we use on patients and people to help them. And whereas that ayahuasca is just like being shot out of a confetti cannon, a lot of people, I say, just remind them, keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open and breathe. You have to remember to breathe and keep your eyes open. It's like Apollo 13 or those astronauts, when you start going there, but once you pop out and get in there, oh my God, you know.
Once you break through the atmosphere.
Yeah, right. I said, because if you close your eyes, you're just seeing the same patterns as you're seeing when you close your eyes. You just don't, you don't study that. So people get like locked in there and they'll freak out. They go down these rabbit holes a little bit. And you got, hey, sit up, move your everything. They realize that everything is energy. Like they might be laying there and I don't want to move. I'm fine. Everything's good. You know? Like that. If you just sit up or just move, you know, a little bit. And, oh yeah, huh? And then you're like, no, I feel. And so we use those, you know, harmonicas and anything that vibrates really. And
a sound therapy.
Yeah,
integrated
guitars,
into sound
singing.
integrated is so beautiful.
So it's really soft. You're really quiet in the ayahuasca circles, you know. Whereas peyote is very, I guess that's a way too, because peyote is so whatever. We have our water drum, which is, you know, really loud, and then we have our gourd rattles, and we're singing, you know, and it's in between times are quiet and meditative, but it's loud like that. Whereas ayahuasca is like, no, you know, it's like real gentle. She is everywhere, inside and out, you know, up and down, to our left and right, and front and behind, like that, you know, and just with that, it's like it's so amazing just to let go and just like let it come, you know, and just have that vine, panther, the jaguars, the frogs, you know, the birds of the jungle all work on you like that in a good way, you know. Yeah, you really become vulnerable with that, you know.
And how about psilocybin?
Love it, man. That's the so gentle. It comes in each time like that. You don't get the bitterness in the tummy, not the heaviness like that, and just how it works on your heart, you know, and tells this to be shh. We don't need nothing from here, you know. Like we have you. You're okay. Now listen and let's work it out, you know. I use music with that one, some like recorded music, you know, because it's just I don't know, it just works better that way a little bit. So I have some music we use, or pre-recorded songs like that, and we work with a fire. So I introduce people to their grandfather. I said, see that flame right there? Those, you know, it's gifting its life. It came in, you know, as a seed, and you like only call it like a piece of wood, you know, but now you saw it as a youngster, teenager. Now it's gifting its life. Now it's turning white to ash. So now you see it's the full cycle of life right there in front of you. It's trying to show you something. You learn something from these charcoals too. And so as we're put together, there's a way we construct our fire and do it and use that in the evening. And then I said, and that right there in that circle is your grandmother. That rain, that fresh water is in that pail there, you know. So we're going to learn here. We're going to have a water ceremony here. And so, but we're going to eat this medicine here, and it's going to help us get to where we need to be in a good way to pray with the water. And so we had the guidance of our grandfather and our grandmother. And by morning time, after we pray for the water, she's going to say, now go outside and tell your mother what you learned in here, what you learned around this campfire. And then I'm sure she's going to say, why don't you shout that to your father, the sky, because he's way up there like that. And just say thank you, you know, for the teachings and what you let go. What wasn't serving you, what was hurting you, what was ailing you, and dis-easing you and discomforting you like that, you know, and don't go looking for it, you know, and just keep that vibration, you know. And then as the sun rises and you hear the things come on, you know, it teaches you like, oh yeah, huh? There's a huge difference, you know. There's a huge difference of what's really going on. You know, ayahuasca, it takes you out there. It has those capabilities of an authorization to ordain you to be sober and coherent and cognitive, you know. And those mushrooms, man, those I like how gentle they are. They're very gentle. That's psilocybin, you know, psilocybins or whatever you want to call it. And so you have a cupboard full of those guys. I go out there and they teach you when you're picking them, you know, what's above you and what's below you. Tell you know, like the climate that if you're paying attention, you know, and the weather and its whiplashes and the effects of what's going on.
Do you find that folks have a hard time understanding the concept that there are spirits or entities that are part of a plant medicine that can teach you something, that can speak to you? Like, the idea that you're actually having a communication. Do folks have a hard time conceptualizing that?
I think so, you know. Yeah, you know, even well, I don't want to say that. I had like I had a bunch of plants, you know, marijuana plants growing here, and like a person came out and says like, "What are you doing, man?" I was like, I had my outbuilding here. I had that mushroom music playing, real gentle, real soft, flowing music, and I was playing it for the plants, and I was out there talking with them, praying and hugging onto them, you know, and encouraging them, you know, who's going to be the greenest, the tallest, the bushiest, the widest, you know, the healthiest, the most potent, you know, the most care. I just challenged them, and they're talking with me, and I come in, and she's like, "What are you doing? Who are you talking to out there?" Like, "What do you mean? Who am I talking to?" "Them." "The neighbor?" Like, so it's like on that, and then you get to like, "No, my plants." Like, "For what?" I'm the beneficiary of their medicinal values. Are you kidding me? And how we vibe like that. And so when Aya's coming to you, you know, I was like, it takes you into the plant where it's like, "Hey, come here, buddy," you know, and instead of like, it's like you look at here from this point of view, and it's a whole different vibration out there.
Yeah.
It like when you're on the ayahuasca, if you go into the spirit world, there's a humming, there's a vibration. It kind of sounds like When Doves Cry by Prince, and it's like it's when you get to that state, you're humming by then. You know what I'm saying? And you're with that in that spiritual world like that. And
You're in that vibration.
I was next to a river. Like when you hear the river, I thought the guy, I go, "Is the guy using speakers or something out in the bushes or something?" Like, you know, like, did he plant down onto me? I'm like, "Oh, that's me," you know. Like, right, you know, then kind of takes off, and yeah, man, yeah, you can become the fire, the pink, the white in the fire. You become the star in the fire, and it pulls you in, where you don't feel the heat, and you're just like, "Oh yeah, huh?" And it shows you yourself, you know, sitting there, you know, like, oh my gosh, you know, that's it says, look at yourself, you know, and it just really has a gentle way of how can I better, you know, better myself for others, you know, like by your actions and by the way you'll attract, you know, you'll attract people. You just that if you hum at that vibration, you know, people just pick up on it. You know, how do you get to there? How do you find it? You know, and then you just have that little conversation. Why are you looking? You know, and you know by then they already speak. They already say something. You know, like people with mushrooms, they're like, "Oh, last time I did mushrooms was in high," you know, I was like, "Yeah, oh," you know, so everybody has this wild thing, and if you don't have a flicker or a flame or a charcoal there, it's going to be like that. You know, if you don't have that bucket of water, it's going to be like that. You have to have guidance in your ceremony.
Right. So you're talking about the fact that people can take the medicine but not do the medicine.
I was saying like people that come, they're like, "Boy, last time I took it was in high school." So the only experience is wowing out to a party, and then I'll say like when it comes to peyote, "Oh, I remember we went down to, you know, got a whole barrel full of that mescaline. I remember in high school." Everything reverts to this time when it was abused as a drug and not used as a substance, used as a healing thing. And so when like I think in the beginning of our conversation, you're like saying that people call the plant medicine drugs or something like that, you know, and shame on them for saying that, because
shame on them.
None of this plant medicine comes in a child-proof, twisty top amber bottle that has all these side effects and things on like that. You know what I'm saying? I go, "Those are drugs."
Amen.
Those are drugs.
Those are drugs. Amen.
And that's why everything's fine.
That's why everything's fine. Okay, so I found myself wanting to ask one last question before we ended, and that was around kind of my own struggle, which is, you know, if you're someone that loves people and you love the ones that are hurting, you might be impatient, right? Because you see those folks, you know, down at the clinic who could be helped by this and not by all the pharmaceuticals. You see the benefits of plant medicine helping these people that are addicted, that are hurting so much, especially in the Native community. And yet it can almost break your heart to almost like the guilt or the honor of, I've been exposed to this healing, why can't others, and why is it kept from them, or this is a travesty because it's like they're dying of thirst and the water is like right here, like 2 feet away from them.
Yeah.
So how do I wrestle with that and hold space for wherever we are right now, wherever the world is right now, whatever chaos may ensue right now, in a way that I can keep my footing and keep my hope and my prayers alive in the positive, because we are in such times of hardship in the world. So how do you keep positive about the slow rate of the plant medicine being gifted to people that should have had it all along and should never have had it taken away? Like, how do you stay sane? That's my last question.
Yeah, right. You know, because my personal experience with that is like a couple days ago, I buried my sister, and she died of an overdose. You know, and she was found in a motel room or something like that. You know, but so anyway, we just put her to rest, and so she was like doing good, but she went back or something like that, relapsed or something like that. And so it's like, you know, I asked that medical director that the top, my mom used to be with me, and I was wondering why she was falling down and have these episodes at home. Moved her in here, and then it didn't take long for me to figure out why these things, and this side effect, that side effect, that side effect. It was like, holy crap, look at all these amber bottles, you know? And so I went down and had this top dog of our clinic get on his knee and then his other knee, and he's a lot older than me, probably like 10, 15 years. He's like 75-ish, close to it. So I had him get down on both bended knees and beg for forgiveness to my mom. And he looked at me like, he got down on one knee and he goes, sorry? And I said, because that's all he knows is all he knows. That's an apology. He almost killed my mom. I don't know how many times it's lucky she's even hearing all these things, you know? And because anyway, I said, you're the director, da 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 da. I said, you asked for an apology, sir. You know, I get down on both knees, and you don't look at me. Look at my mom. You're the one asking for forgiveness. So he goes, and he asked me how to say an apology. So, you know, I had to like walk him through it, you know. And this is an old grown man, you know. And so I go down and tell, you know, like there's other avenues and resources that could make a huge, you know, healthy effect on these patients and peoples and stuff like that, you know. And so I got rid of those things, took my mom to Ayahuasca Ceremony, and it's like the one time I watched her, she drank it, and it like jumped out. It jumped out, I swear to God, it jumped back out. I was like, whoa, what was that? You know, she didn't spit it, and it just came back. She had the cup, and it came back, and I was like, whoa, Mom, isn't it dark and everything? I was like, what's going on? And so I was talking with a medicine person and stuff like that. I said, yeah, the medicine knew, you know, that her body's still too toxic. That could between that no, so it jumped back out of her, and so it was good so she came back to it, you know, and so I guess what I'm trying to say is like she was living not in Washington State. They brought my sister home. Was in assisted living for a short while, and then she was found dead. So now, while in assisted living, you know, like what's going on? What are we offering? Oh, you know, like backgammon games or checkerboard games or the TV or, you know, the American way.
Or Big Pharma.
You know what I'm saying? The American way or the Native American way, for Pete's sakes, you know? So it's like those at the top, you know, are usually those that are like non-indigenous, and so maybe are only half in their other parent might not have been, but they're still there. And so they went to class, and maybe they might even got to college or universities, whatever. They're all made of bricks, and they don't even know they're the brick, right? And so it's like humans have this thing like they don't want to be wrong, right? They're, you know, I'm not dumb unless you're brought. Hey, can I get a contestant can come up on here and I make a joke with you or pull your underwear out? We all laugh at you. Then you can laugh, kind of, sorta, you know. But if it's the joke's on you, we don't like that feeling, right? And so it's I don't know where I was going with that. I was swinging around to something like,
You-
it's like I've gone under the council, like kicked in the door. And I said,
Well, but I had asked how you live with not being able to save people, right? And you brought up your sister who's passed.
yeah. And so you see the shortcomings of it, and so it brings you to, like, it could lead you to frustration, lead you to drink or whatever, all those
Right.
things like that.
Right.
So that's why everything's fine. So like you take that energy, right, and then you got to take it to the circle, right? Just create another circle. Hence, I'm having another mushroom ceremony coming up. I talked to my nephew the other night. I said, I think it's time to circle up. I got 2 days feeling pretty good. I think I can make it through the night. Let's go for it. And so that's where that would be. That's where it goes. It goes to Grandpa. Like I share that, like, about that flame, and you see the charcoals. You see it white, so it's a Grandpa. It went through the age, it showed you that. And I take people to the ocean. I say, here, pray to the big water, the saline water, she. I go, every wave, you see, she's like that wood. It shows you there's maybe a swell at the beginning, teenage years, and then she unfurls that white foam, that wave that comes to you. That's where you gift it to her. Oh, this is concerning me. This is bothering me. This has been on my mind. It's been on my heart. And gift it to that white water, because she's always saying that, gift it to me, your trouble. Gift it to me, your troubles, like that. And people don't. They go there and they're like, I don't see nothing. They think about their troubles and they keep it and they go with it, and it stays the same. People that haven't been taught, or educated or shown to, hey, maybe drop it at knee or at your waist, feel the earth again. Be grateful. That's why we have 4 days of fasting, sun dances and things like that, so it's not water, it's medicine, right? On the fourth, after your 4 days and nights of not drinking this, on that 5th day, you don't have water fights or, it's like one sip, and that takes, you offer it to somebody else to see if they're thirsty, and say, no, it's for you, That's all I need, that's all I needed after 4 days. And when those berries come around, you might just take one berry instead of a whole scoop like most people would. And that corn comes around, you don't take a whole, just maybe one nibble, it seems like. And when the buffalo comes, you just try to take a little handful, because it became medicine again. You don't need to gorge yourself. You don't need to.
It's beautiful.
I love that.
I love that phrase. It all became medicine again.
Yeah,
it all
right.
became medicine again.
And we became the peoples again, right? Instead of human. And that's why everybody's comfortable being human, because, well, they're doing it over there, or they're saying it over there. And I guess that's how we do it, or what we say like that, instead of, what do I do with what I'm really feeling? Get in an elevator, no, everybody's quiet, make a circle real quick, but no, that's weird, how we everybody's, like we said about that childhood thing, somehow, some way, we've all been abused somehow, some way in there,
Right.
And why, that seems to be a common thing, like our belly buttons. Why wouldn't we, and we just want to keep things fine,
Right.
keep learning, and so I tell people, I go, that fear and, that confusion, that doubt and worry seems to, like, grow in their rows, like when they farm and stuff, like classrooms are like that, courtrooms are like that, and their churches are like that, rows and columns, and people fit these labels and they want to stay there.
Which is interesting, because I was having an image when you were describing. I felt like I said to you, what does the empath, the sensitive one, the one that wants to heal others, that can witness others' pain, do in a time of such sorrow, right? And I felt like what you said to me is, instead of, sometimes we see God, or we see the universe, or the spiritual, we see it as like, almost like, for Christians, it's like, I'm going to go and worship now, I'm going to go to church now. It's like a very compartmentalized kind of square thing. You're talking about these lines, right? Yeah. And I was having this image when you were talking about going into things and having the faith and the communion with nature, that you're almost, you said, unloading your stuff, but in a way I could see this image of this infusion with a living faith. Like, these burdens are not just for me, the tight compactedness you spoke of we're keeping our childhood abuses to ourselves, but but I'm offsetting these, I'm giving these to the universe to help me. I believe in the universe as a living thing that can help me manage and navigate the sorrow.
Oh, you already know.
Well, but I could see this image of what you're talking about, as opposed to the thinking, this is my sorrow, I'm in my box. As opposed to a living entity like the ocean, is my friend, is my family, and I'm giving my sorrow is seeing my brothers and sisters suffering, and the plant medicine is right here.
It's right there. Yeah, pick it up. Like my sister there, had she been introduced or allowed to be introduced to that way, because in her sober times of being not on heroin or not on methadone or not on Suboxone or not on drugs, you know, that, hey, you know, make it okay a little bit, you know, and yeah, you know, once you're partying, like I said, then it's like that person I mentioned earlier, and they have to want that change then, and like with my sister, you know, she was yearning for it, but what's next? You know, it's like, maybe that's why they become homeless. Like, well, what's after this? You know, and I want my cognitive thinking, I want my coherent thinking back. You know, I want, you know, I need to get a grip. And there's nothing out here. It's all a lie. It is all a lie. Everything out here that we're experiencing is a lie, and so there's nothing to grasp hold of. I make these water altars up and down what they call the Sailor's Sea, and I tell, they go, what are these? And I said, it's a water altar. It's to help you and aid you in changing the way you feel instead of the way you think. Like, what? I go, touch it. It's real. And you're like, what? It's a branch or something or a stick. And I'm like, what? I go, it's not plastic. It didn't, you know, it's real. And so is that water. That water is not David Copperfield or some magician, or it's not some illusionist. The water will always tell you the truth, you know. And so it's about reconnecting people, you know, and giving them, hey, you have value, you have the worth, and that's what they're harvesting. Claim sovereignty, reclaim your life instead of your live. Quit making a living and start creating a life. You know, you must not be in love with yourself or others, because when you are in love, you are the creator, right? You are a creator when you are in love. When we create that circle in ceremony, it's electromagnetic, our medicine wheel, right here, our medicine wheel, emotion, mental, physical, spirit, electromagnetic spark, boom, boom. So that love goes out here into your right shoulder, through yours, boom, boom, propels, goes through my brothers over here and comes back to me, and then we create this. I say, don't break circle, just keep it going. And if we stay in circle like that, it takes you places that are beyond the imagination, beyond your thoughts, and beyond your dreams. You know, like what's right there past it. You know, let's ingest it. Let's find out. Let's go there together. You don't got to be in front of me or behind me. Let's go together. You know, let's create. Let's unify. Let's go there together and support one another while we're in there as best we can. You know, some of those medicines are kind of powerful, and you can't, you know, once you're in there, you're in there. You just got to experience your own experience, you know, until you get done with it, or it's done with you, you know. But what goes up must come down, you know, and so that's like the people that make policies and procedures. It's like, what are you afraid of? What are you thinking that is so bad or so black or so evil that you're afraid to close the blinds and deal with yourself? What are you so afraid of? What have you been harboring, right? What are you afraid of that you're imposing your fear on my life and the way out? That you're imposing it on my landscape and my skyscape and my waterscape, huh? Answer me. You're 18 and older, aren't you? You know, I ask that to people. I walk into that room. I don't care if you got powdered baldness and gray hair and a pot belly. You can call yourself 85 years old. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? This is spiritual here. It's all ceremony, this life. It's not a square world, right? And if you're in my circle, in my realm, you know, act your age at least, you know, behave yourself. You know, I've been in ceremony invited to churches, and they made my wife cry. I had to clean up their mess because they want to talk about Columbus or some doctrine of this, that, or about discovery, or what do you feel, like, we're your guest and you want to, my wife is crying, here we go again, clean up you guys' mess. Don't even know what you're saying. You don't even know what you're uttering. You don't even know the shapes of the words you're saying. And they're all grown up. They're all 70 or older. You know what I'm saying? So I had to stand up and speak truth to them. And they were thankful for that. So I said it in a good way. Direct and assertive, but in a good way for them. Yeah. It's like when I gather, if it were for a ceremony for a healing, I welcome everybody. Everybody sat down. Everybody's comfortable. check in, welcome them in a good way, you know, thank you for coming, you know, and here's our patient, you know, we've got a lot of work to do tonight, you know, and so we've got our instruments, these sacred things, our flame, our, you know, we're going to go for it, you know. So if there's anybody got any doubt, I'll look at them, you know, is there any doubt? Are you harboring any doubt? Because there's the door. You're welcome to leave right now in a good way, in a good way. Because maybe this isn't your ceremony tonight.
No.
Maybe the next one, birthday or anniversary, but tonight we're going for the healing, you know, we're really going to let go.
Right.
And allow Spirit to heal and move about and do what Spirit needs to do.
Right. Because
usually, if Spirit's here and healing that, pretty much everybody is getting that healing too, you know, somehow, some way, in a good way too, you know. And so that's the importance of ceremony, because never one's the same. Never all the same people show up in the same situations or for the same reasons, you know, and they'll never taste the same, you know. Everyone is different. I've been to 4 days, and you know, we're eating that ayahuasca for 4 nights in a row, and just like everyone was different. Each one was different, you know. Whether it was a change in the different people there, change in different songs, it was all different experiences upstairs, you know, different healings to go through, you know. And so they just always invite people and speak truth about it, you know. And people, I don't think we give people enough credit for that they can handle the truth, you know. I think you're right, just speak the truth to it, you know, and it's that powerful. It is the Creator, you know what I'm saying. It didn't come off a shelf. It don't come off no shelves, these healings like that. And so a lot of people walk around hurt and they don't even know it, you know, and so it's that's why we continue to pray for them, you know.
Totally.
Right? So that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, no, we're praying for them. I appreciate your time so much, and would love to interview you again someday, because I feel like I have like more questions, but I know we're running out of time, and I just want to say thank you so much for your energy and what you're doing in this world. Any last thoughts that you want to share?
Well, I always had that message of water, right? And people don't know what that is, but we're talking plant movement. Water is life, and that's how we circle up, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like to create this is to unify, right? We need 10% of the planet population. Indigenous, they've allowed 3.5% of us to remain. We represent like the plant kingdom and the fish kingdom and the bird kingdom. There's only 3.5% left. But with like-hearted people, that brings us to 7%. Not like-minded, like-hearted. And with the other 3%, music will fill in to get that 10%. I was here sharing this world vision with Michiko Hayashi, the global director of the Emoto's Peace Project, right? You know, and I was sharing that. And in the Marines, they said, it's always that individual, that 10% that mess it up for the rest of us. And so I shared that vision about unifying and safing a planet through ceremony and plant medicine. And she was like, you know, like, oh, it's individual, 10% that make it good and change it better, like that. You know, Dr. Emoto say that, you know. And I said, oh yeah, huh? So I don't need a whole planet of people to change. I just need 10% to come to gather together. And we see that like when you put the teepee together, how it makes that basket. We all stand by ourselves, but we come together, you know, and support a night and morning of prayer like that. And so it's like to honor water is to honor your life. And water is life. Life is energy. Energy is the source. The source is the Creator. The Creator is love. Love is water. Water is life. And so it's about, we can decide that to be responsible with Earth, you know, then the change will come, you know, no more long bottled water, closing down bottled water plants like that, and then releasing the dams and letting the balance come back to Earth, you know. And so it's in closing, don't be like everyone and everybody else that learns through their head, and hopefully it trickles down to the heart. You know, be indigenous, be like the air, be like us, be like the peoples, and learn from your heart first. All the head is needed for is the flight or fight thing, you know, and to breathe and to hear and to speak things, you know, but be silent with our heart, right? And listen and learn from the heart first, and everything should be good from then. I think that's what people can do immediately. Like, how do I start to change? What can we do to change things, you know? And learn from your heart first. And then maybe it'll trickle up that way like that. But this way, running through our head, and allowing it to be here makes everything fine. And that's why we're in this situation here, right? We're listening to the wrong thing. We're listening to him. So that's all. In closing, thank you, Creator, for this time, for this holy hoop, the sacred circle that we had here to speak truth with one another, to share love and kindness and courtesy and our good behaviors and manners with one another here as we bless one another somehow, some way, the safety and protection that will be needed to carry on throughout this afternoon, on to the evening, to our rest time tonight like that in a good way. So bless our food that we're going to eat later on. Bless our water, certainly, that we'll be ingesting and using for our life later on into the night like that too. So thank these people, so my new relatives, my new friends, for coming down as we create something beautiful for others like that may come to meet us, somehow know us, or to hear about us in a good way like that we're carriers of a good message, that we hold a good prayer in our heart, and good thoughts in our minds like that today. So thank you for this union here, and bless us as we go our way. Hutch away, lop sabut, and hoit, all my relations.
All my relations.
Yeah.